Greetings and welcome to another episode of SPCA Stories. Hope you are all doing well. If you are new to us, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Dawn Fenton, SPCA Monterey County Content and Education Manager, and we are coming to you from the SPCA Monterey County Claire Jacobson Learning Center in gorgeous Salinas, California. My guest this time is Ciera Duits-Cavanaugh, SPCA Wildlife Center Manager. Ciera leads the day-to-day operations of our Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation Center, where compassion, expertise, and dedication come together every single day. Under her care and leadership, our team rescues and treats more than 2,500 wild animals each year. Wow. Giving them the opportunity to heal and return to the wild where they belong. From coyotes to hawks, owls to opossums, and many species in between, Ciera and her team help to ensure that wildlife in need in our community receive the specialized care that they need. Her passion for wildlife, commitment to excellence, and deep love for every animal that comes through our doors make her an invaluable part of our SPCA family. We're so grateful to have her with us and can't wait for you to hear more about the incredible work happening at our Wildlife Center. Enjoy. So, introduce yourself to our listeners, please.
My name is Ciera Duits-Cavanaugh.
And what's your title here?
I'm the Wildlife Manager for the SPCA.
You have the coolest job. Do you agree?
I think so. I do, yes.
I love to talk about the Wildlife Center. I am no expert, but when I give presentations, I like to talk about how much you guys do and how cool it is and stuff. So I'm kind of in awe of you.
Thank you. I'm in awe of myself and my team. And I'm certainly no expert either. It's a constantly evolving job and career, and there's always something more to learn. And I'm humbled by that all the time. Just, there's a lot.
Yeah. You guys are always so busy, and I know there's always things happening, and certain seasons are busier for you than others, but then you get surprises and all kinds of fun things. So how long have you been with the SPCA?
I am coming up on, am I coming up on 14 years now? I think it's 14.
Wow.
Oh man, I should have counted before I...
That's okay. I didn't warn you. I didn't prep you. No, that's okay. No, it's a while. So you've been around and you've seen all the changes and the ways that we've grown and everything. How did we find you, Ciera?
It's a fun story. At least I think it's interesting. I was up at Humboldt State doing my senior finals. So it was the week of finals, lots of studying, really cramming last minute to make sure that I passed everything and was prepared. And my mom, of all people, had texted me and said, "Hey, I found a couple of random job positions in the area because I really want you to move back when you're done with school." And one of them happened to be a wildlife technician job here at the SPCA. And I was like, okay, well, I want to work with animals, and this is animals, so why not? So I applied for it and had gotten an email back, I think within a day or two, mind you, in the middle of finals still, asking to come down and interview for the position. So I took a Greyhound bus the day after my last final to come down and interview, and ended up getting the job. So I graduated and had a job right out of college.
Fantastic. Because that's kind of the dream, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting because it wasn't precisely what I was going for. I was definitely aiming more towards a zoo or aquarium type of position. And then once I started working here, I was a goner. It was what I wanted. Being able to just go with the flow. You never know what's going to come through the doors, and just being able to kind of embrace that chaos and that uncertainty, I guess, really called to me. And I can't imagine being anywhere else now.
Oh, we're so lucky to have you. We are so lucky to have you. So before we go too much further, I always give a compliment to all of my interviewees because I want you to know how much we appreciate you. What did you say earlier that you're like, I don't know I'm not an expert. I'm like, are you kidding? I am in awe of course, what our wildlife center accomplishes every single day. I'm in awe. You guys are like rock stars. And I really appreciate your professionalism, and you're always willing, because, Beth and I are always bugging you about stories and things like that. We both appreciate how you work with us on all that stuff. Because, we like to go and put our cameras and things, and we don't want to interrupt, of course, but you're just always so gracious with your time. And so, and your skills. I mean, I've seen you at work, and I'm impressed. I'm so impressed. And so we're so lucky to have you.
Thank you.
We're lucky to have you leading the team up there. So, because you've got a great team, and you've got a great team of volunteers.
They're amazing.
No, incredible. So yeah, you guys are so cool. You're like the cool kids.
We're the cool kids on the hill.
The cool kids up on the hill. So I'm sure your family was excited that you were gonna. So you're local. You grew up.
I was born and raised in Hollister. Went to San Benito High, and then I did the junior college thing for a little bit in Gilroy at Gavilan. And then when I decided on Humboldt, that was pretty much about as far away as you could get while still staying in California. So my parents were a little less enthused about that. But, a day trip, a day drive to get to me and visit. And then, of course, my mom especially was ecstatic when I moved back.
Wonderful. I'm forgetting you have another position here.
I do.
You're not just the Wildlife Center superstar manager.
Well, I will also point out that our department does handle the exotics as well.
That's true. Yes.
So all of the adoptable birds, reptiles, fish, and all the other weird menagerie of animals that the SPCA takes in, we also take care of.
Yeah.
But that's not what you're talking about.
That's not what I'm talking about. But that is true. And I'm glad you brought that up, because we are fortunate here that we take care of all animals. We're not just dogs and cats and, guinea pigs and rabbits. We have those exotic pets that come through the doors. So that's pretty exciting. And so they all kind of go up to you guys first, right?
They do.
And then become available for adoption when they're ready.
Yeah, exactly.
And all that. But what's your other position?
I'm also the caretaker here for the SPCA. So I have a lovely little spot on property that I live on, and then I just help with the after hours things here, just making sure that everything's as it should be. If there's any emergencies, I'm essentially the person that will relieve the staff, if we have like the flood, the recent Pajaro flood situation, we'll have staff that are working, taking in evacuated animals until, 8, 9 o'clock sometimes.
Yeah,
and then
amazing.
I'm the after hours person that will be available if there's a really big emergency or someone, couldn't get to us sooner, whatever the situation might be. So I'm there to help oversee that, and then just make sure that the animals overnight are comfortable and there's no crazy emergencies. And
so you literally live here.
I do. I do. I sure do.
We appreciate that's a very important role as well. I mean, we all go home. You go home too.
I go home too.
It's just right down the hill a little ways.
It is.
So. Did you always know you wanted to work with animals?
I knew for a really long time that I wanted to work with them in some capacity. It changed a little bit over the years. I had a short idea in my head when I was in middle school that I maybe wanted to be an animal control officer, be that really cool animal cop that you see on TV or whatever. And then in high school, it changed a little bit and kind of veered more towards that zookeeper sort of a career. And that stuck for a while. And then, like I said, until I graduated college, that was what I was aiming for, was something at a zoo or aquarium. And then coming here completely changed that. Which still with animals.
Yes.
And still working with wild animals. And that was what I was looking at from high school on.
Incredible. So what were you like as a kid?
I was a straight A student.
Of course. Of course.
So I guess you would consider me nerdy. Um, I was in band in middle school and a little bit of high school. And then I was also a competitive Irish dancer.
That's right. I heard that about
Yes.
you. First of all, what instrument did you play?
I played trumpet. It was an instrument that not a lot of girls played at the time. And I wanted to be that, I guess, cool girl. Or I wanted to sit around a bunch of boys. I don't know. I was 10 at the time, 10 or 11 or something when I picked up the trumpet. So I stuck with that for several years.
And then the Irish dance, was that always or was that later?
That was since I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And I did that until I went to Humboldt, and then I didn't really have time for it there. But yeah, so I stuck with that for a really long time.
So when you meet someone new and they ask you what you do, how do you describe it?
I usually just start off by saying I work with wildlife. Well, okay, I start off saying that I work at the SPCA, and then it usually involves them asking, oh, you work with the dogs and cats? Oh my God, they're so cute. Have you seen, XYZ? And then I'm like, wait, hold up. I work with wildlife. The cats and dogs are very cute and cuddly, and I almost never see them because I'm busy, wrangling coyotes and hawks instead.
And they're probably like, whoa.
Yes.
Their jaws hit the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously your days, you never know what you're going to get. You never know.
Never.
But can you kind of give us an idea of what a typical day might look like for you?
So a typical morning usually involves cleaning out enclosures, medical treatment, fluids, food, and then from that, just maintenance the rest of the day for those patients. If they need more feedings or more fluids, medications, whatnot, we'll do that throughout the day. And then in between all of that, we're also answering phone calls for our department. Any people that come to the door, either with wildlife that they've brought to us, or if they're interested in adopting or surrendering those exotics that we take care of as well. And then we also go out into the field and rescue if people aren't able to bring to us, or if they're a species that maybe isn't easy for just the general public to handle. And we'll go out and rescue those and bring them back, and then full examination and kind of just rinse and repeat with that medication and wound treatment and fluids. And that's not including what else might happen in our world, an influx of opossums all of a sudden, or, a nest of baby squirrels, whatever. So we're constantly on our toes.
We got a lot of wildlife around here.
We do.
Around these parts.
I mean, it is an amazing county. We do have a lot of really cool wildlife. And being a coastal county, we also get to be involved with some of the seabirds when they happen to be beached. And that's not something that any old wildlife center can work with.
Right.
If they're not coastal, obviously, they're not working with the seabirds. And that's really fun, too. And then we also have some, we've got the foothills. So we've got kind of mountainous type environments. We've got some really dense wooded areas. We have some kind of drier, arid parts of our county. So we really get this huge variety of wildlife. And so that is kind of what leans into that. You never know what's going to come through because, which part of the county is it coming from? And we have a pretty big county too. So it's a lot to cover. One day you could be dealing with mice, and the next day it's a coyote or a bobcat, and maybe we'll get something really weird like a chipmunk.
Or a badger.
A badger, yeah. And that's just the mammals.
Well, I like, because the people who listen to our podcast, our lovely listeners, they're not just from California. So I think in every podcast episode, I've talked about how big our county is. Mm-hmm. And, we've got urban areas, urbanish. We're not big city, we're 2 hours or so away from San Francisco. So we don't have that, but we have urban, we got little cities here.
Yeah.
And then like you described, it's a wide variety of terrains, I guess, and climates, little pockets of, the coast, of course. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So hard to get bored, probably.
Yes, yeah. And especially, I think as our presence gets more and more known in our county, we have less and less downtime, which is a good thing because when there's wildlife that need help, people know who to contact.
Right.
And so we find we are less and less busy in what's supposed to be our slow season, but helping those animals that need it, I think, because people are contacting us.
Do you have a favorite species?
Oh, do I? I love, well, ones that we see in care would be the long-tailed weasel. But all-time favorite animal is the river otter, which we don't get down here. But, the long-tailed weasel is close enough. I remember the first summer working here at the SPCA, and I actually asked if we got weasels, and my boss at the time said, "Oh, they're here, but we don't ever get them." And that season we got 4 babies.
So you manifested it.
I sure did. And so we don't get them very often, but they are just so cute. And they're so feisty. They're just this tiny little hot dog-sized weasel, basically. And they're so feisty and stinky and spunky and just adorable and really fun to work with.
Okay, so you just reminded me of something. So, okay, of course we have the dogs and the cats, and the people who work with the dogs and the cats, we kind of fall in love, and, they get to kind of cuddle and, kind of bond with those animals. You don't really get to do that, do you?
No, not with the wildlife anyway. We have our moments with the exotics for sure. There's some parrots or, an iguana or snake or something that people really fall in love with. But no, not the wildlife. I mean, we fall in love with them, but not in a way that we can cuddle. That's not what we're here for. But in our own way, just being able to see them get healthy and rehabilitated and being able to release them and get back to what they're supposed to be doing out in the wild, free, is kind of its own sort of imaginary cuddle, I guess.
It's gotta be really rewarding.
It is, absolutely, yeah. So even though we don't get those warm hugs.
You don't get to snuggle.
Yes. We get a different kind of joy from it.
What's the craziest call you've ever been on?
Oh, one of the times I had to go out for a bird that had fishing line and fishing hooks on it. And it was on one of the beaches in Monterey. And I get down, and the person who had called us about it had, pointed it out over there. And it's just kind of this sandy, soggy blob of feathers. And as I get closer, I realize it's not one bird. It's not even 2 birds. It is 3 birds, 3 different species of bird, all alive, all tethered to each other with fishing line and hooks. I think it was a gull, maybe a loon, and then I can't remember what the third one was, but just 3 different birds all stuck. So it was like I had trekked down on the beach to find 1 bird and end up with 3, and I had only carried 1 box out. And so it's like, oh man, I can't keep you guys all stuck together in one tiny little box. Like, you've already been kind of crammed into forced proximity already. And so I ended up, I think, putting 2 in the box, and then I just carried 1 under my arm the rest of the way to the truck until I could get them into separate containers.
That's a crazy call. That sounds like a crazy call. Were you here when, because I've been here a little bit longer than you. I'm at year 17. We had a beaver. Were you around for that?
No, the beaver was before my time.
Okay. Because that was fun. That was a fun. Again, I get to tell the stories.
Yeah.
I don't always get to participate, which, yeah. I try. But yeah, that was a fun one. And I love, again, when I give presentations, I love to talk to the kids about the different things you guys do because it's so cool. And the way you guys get these animals out of certain jams
Oh, yes.
is
All the
fun.
fences, all the fences, under decking, on rooftops.
Swings, those rope swings.
Oh, yes.
My husband
soccer
actually.
nets.
Yeah, and soccer nets. My husband was a firefighter. He's now retired. But he called me this a couple of years ago. He's like, we just got called out because there's a deer that, those rope swings with the discs at the bottom. There was no disc, but there was a deer at the bottom of it. His antlers had been like caught up in it. And it was like the more that he tried to get loose, the tighter it got.
Oh, God.
So he's like, what do I do? And I'm like, you need to call the wildlife center to make it official.
Yeah.
So he called you guys and they ended up going out and my husband was just in awe. He said it was like in the movies, like Kristen practically had a knife in her teeth and, she scaled the tree and she got to the top of the tree and they had a net ready. So he was way impressed. So, you guys get some crazy...
Yeah.
some crazy calls.
Yeah, the deer always seem to get themselves into trouble.
You got to be creative when you get out there, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
It's not one size fits all wildlife rescue, huh?
No. Certainly not.
So we just kind of talked about probably what's maybe the best parts of the job are the releases and the watching them heal and all those things. What's the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part is when we're not successful. And that's really, really difficult. I mean, you have to be able to release these animals as close to 100% as possible. They have to be able to function as close to perfection as you can get them. And if you're not able to reach a reasonable percentage close to 100%, then you're essentially providing a disservice to that animal. If they can sort of fly, what happens when they go back out in the world and they're able to sort of fly but not catch their own food? So those instances when we're not able to get them to release are really difficult, especially when we put in a lot of time and effort trying to get them to that and just can't quite reach it.
Tell me about your staff and volunteers.
What do you want to know?
All the things.
I have a full-time staff of 5, and I think the newest staff to join our team has been on my team for, at least 5 years.
Wow.
And my most senior person has been there for 11. I think maybe even going on 12. So I have a very seasoned staff, and I'm incredibly thankful for it. It makes my job a little bit easier, and I think it really improves the quality overall of what we're able to do for these animals. And then our volunteers, I mean, we have some volunteers that have been with us with the Wildlife Center since the 80s.
Yes.
Some of them longer than I've been alive, which is crazy. And then we get some people that maybe are only with us for a year or two, but the work that they put in, the time and the effort, making sure that our wildlife center can run is immaculate. And we range anywhere from 40 to 80 volunteers, just depending. And then we also do an internship program in the spring and summer, primarily geared towards college students. But I mean, anyone can apply for it. And that's a really rigorous in-between position between staff and volunteer. So they really get a lot of hands-on experience. It helps us during our busier season. And then they're also doing some of the, cleaning tasks, which every position is responsible for, but they get a lot more hands-on than what we're always able to offer the volunteers.
Yeah, I think the longevity that you're talking about with some of the folks who've been with us since the 80s and, well, the staff, I mean, that speaks volumes for what your leadership, for your leadership. It speaks volumes for your leadership. But I think also just the passion of this community is about the animals, not just dogs and cats, but animals in general is pretty amazing. It's pretty cool.
It is.
And so just I'm hearing you talk about how long all of the people that work with you have been there and have been helping in different capacities is really impressive.
It is.
It's really impressive.
I'm incredibly grateful for it.
What are you most proud of?
I mean, like what we just spoke about, being able to have the staff stick around as long as they have and keep the same team really kind of pushes our center to reach for more difficult things, trying to push our limits a little bit and see what more we might be able to do to help our wildlife. And that's what it's all about, is the animals. And if you're not trying to grow and expand and learn more, what's the point? And so I think being able to do that is something that I'm really, really proud of. And then in the past 6 or 7 years, our wildlife center took on the care of snowy plovers, which is a threatened species for our county on the coastlines. And it used to be done by the aquarium. And when they wanted to veer a little bit away from the rehab portion of plovers, they handed it over to us. And I love working with them. They're probably my favorite bird. Of course, I mentioned my favorite mammal, but I think snowy plovers are probably my favorite bird. And I'm really proud of the small but mighty program we've established with their rehab and being able to release those guys back out into the world and hopefully make their breeding population a little bit more robust along our coastline.
What do you love about the plovers?
They're really hardy birds, even though they're struggling on our coastlines. They're really hardy birds. I get to watch them come in as eggs and then hatch and grow up in the span of a little over a month. And just see this helpless little egg, hatch and grow up into a fully fledged bird that can then get sent back out into the world and hopefully the hope is to thrive. And that's amazing. And I mean, that's the same for all of our patients, but being able to see it for something that's threatened and really, really needs that extra bit of help is so cool.
What advice would you give someone who's interested in the field?
I mean, volunteering, for sure. That's a great way to get involved, give back to the community, and then see if it's what you're interested in. Our internship, if you're a little bit older, still trying to figure out what you want to do. I think that it's a great stepping stone for someone who maybe wants to work with animals but doesn't know quite exactly what. And I mean, I started by volunteering at the aquarium, and that was a really big push that I was going in the right direction working with animals, was volunteering at the aquarium.
What would you like people to know about SPCA Monterey County?
I mean, I think we've mentioned it a bit. It's not just a shelter for cats and dogs. We are so much more. And of course, I'm mostly just touching on my department, but I mean, even our department, we're wildlife and exotics. And that's a big thing. You don't see that just everywhere. And just, I think sometimes being in your department, you even forget just how big this organization is and how much at least I think, that we're making a huge difference for animals. And like I said, not just cats and dogs. And that's huge. I mean, we adopted out a pair of goldfish, 2 weeks ago. And we have an iguana that was found with 2 broken legs that we're treating. And, and then all of the wildlife, it's not, I think that we're something unique and something special. And sometimes I wish that other facilities were like us, to just have more support for their community. Like I think that we support ours.
You made me think about because there are all these different departments here. We're so lucky to be able to support the people and the animals in the community in so many different ways. And it's really fun for me to watch the ways that everybody works together. Because there might be a situation where wildlife has to work with our humane investigations. That might come up, or watching the clinic work with behavior. And it's really just super cool to see that. And I wish, I mean, I want everyone to know and to learn from us. So
you mentioning that actually brought up a couple of times within the past month, our staff having to go out for a coyote stuck in a culvert, like a retention pond, out in some fields. And, there's water, usually a foot or two of water down at the bottom, and a coyote that's sopping wet and can't climb up this plastic slick wall. And so I can't send 1 or 2 staff out there. How are they going to climb down and then climb back out with the coyote? And so we have to rely on the rest of our team. And so we are able to reach out to humane investigations. And the most recent time we pulled animal care to go out as well and help us so that we can get that happy ending and get that coyote out and still be able to do it safely.
All hands on deck sometimes.
Exactly.
And everyone is willing and excited to jump in and help. And that's remarkable.
Yeah.
So is there a question you wish I had asked you?
I don't think so. I think you covered a lot of the good ones.
I was going to say, if not, that's totally fine. And you are, okay, so you already told us about the trumpet, which I'm so excited by, and then the dance.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that people don't know about you?
Well, I mentioned that I'm nerdy and, the bands and, the straight A's and growing up. But I mean, I still play video games. I still read books. So I'm still nerdy. That didn't go away.
Well, I want to thank you again for your time and for your talent and your passion. Because I keep saying it, I'm kind of nerding out myself right here. But I'm so impressed with the work that goes on up at the Wildlife Center. And again, the longevity of your staff and your volunteers. It just speaks volumes for you as a leader and what you're bringing to the table. And so thank you for that. And thank you so much for taking the time, because I know you're so busy. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all for tuning in. A tremendous thank you to all SPCA staff, volunteers, and board of directors. And a heartfelt thank you to our generous supporters. We at SPCA Monterey County could not do what we do for the animals and people in our community without you. If you would like to support us, and that would be incredible, you can find that information at spcamc.org. We would love to hear from you. If you have questions or just want to say hi, you can drop me an email at dfenton@spcamc.org. You can find more information about all of our programs and services at spcamc.org. If you like what you hear, please drop a like or give us a rating on whatever platform you listen in on. Those ratings help us reach more animal lovers. I'm Dawn Fenton, signing off until next time. Much unconditional love to you and your pets from us here at SPCA Monterey County.